Okay, so get this right. What if we told you that artificial intelligence, like the stuff we're dealing with now, was already a thing back in the 1940s?
Yeah, and not just anywhere, but in the heart of World War II Germany.
It sounds crazy, but that's exactly what we're diving into today.
It really makes you think, because instead of just picturing, robots on the battlefield, imagine AI woven into everyday life.
Yeah, like impacting the military for sure, but also factories, art, even how the government works. Wild stuff.
It is. We're essentially talking about a Germany where a theoretical leap in computing happens way ahead of schedule.
So think about pioneers like Konrad Zuse, but instead of just early computers, their work leads to, well, basic AI.
Exactly. And to really grasp what that means, you got to think about code breaking.
Code breaking.
Yeah, like forget the Enigma machine. We're talking about AI potentially tearing through enemy communications, like instantly.
Whoa. So German high command would have real-time intel.
Potentially, yeah.
Right.
Changing the whole flow of the war.
That's insane. So it's not just spies and secret messages anymore. It's all about who has the smarter algorithms.
Exactly. And this shift wouldn't be limited to just, the war room.
What else?
Think about the V-2 rockets.
Already a terrifying weapon.
Right. But now imagine AI guiding them, calculating trajectories with pinpoint accuracy.
Increasing their destructive power, right? Tenfold. It's a nightmare scenario.
It is, and that's where the sources get even more unsettling.
How so?
Well, consider the factories. AI in the factories, how would that even work?
It's hard to imagine.
Think about those assembly lines of the time, right? Now picture them augmented or even outright replaced by AI-driven systems.
The massive boost to production.
For sure, but also a complete upheaval of the workforce. You'd have widespread unemployment on a scale never seen before.
That's a good point. So who fills these new roles, the ones designing and maintaining these AI systems?
Our sources point to a very specific demographic, those loyal to the regime.
Ah, I see. So access to this tech and the jobs that come with it would be tightly controlled.
Exactly. In this alternate history, it's not hard to imagine AI becoming a tool to further consolidate power.
So we're talking about AI not just impacting the war, but actually reshaping German society itself. That's heavy.
It gets even more complex when you consider the implications for art and culture.
Like, what do you mean?
Imagine state-sponsored AI generating art, music, literature, all perfectly aligned with Nazi ideology.
And what, dissenting voices are just gone?
Pretty much. Drowned out by a wave of algorithmically crafted propaganda.
Whoa, that's creepy. So even creativity becomes a tool for control in this scenario.
Exactly. The sources paint a picture of an environment where even expressing yourself is carefully monitored and manipulated.
Individuality and free thought just stifled.
Yeah, under the weight of this AI-driven cultural machine.
Okay, so if AI is in the factories, in the arts, it makes you wonder, how much deeper does this go? Does it affect how the government function too?
Oh, absolutely. You see, AI streamlining bureaucracy might sound efficient on the surface.
Yeah, less paperwork.
But in the hands of a regime like the Nazis, it could mean a terrifying increase in control.
So speed and ruthlessness with which they could implement policies, especially in occupied territories.
Exactly. It's not just about efficiency, it's about amplifying existing power structures.
So did anyone fight back against this? Did AI play a role there too?
That's where it gets really interesting. Our sources suggest that while AI empowered the regime, it also gave rise to new forms of resistance.
Really? So they were fighting AI with AI?
In a way, yes. Underground groups, recognizing the power of this technology, began to repurpose it for their own ends.
So like hacking, but on a massive scale.
Think covert operations to sabotage the regime's systems, disrupting communication networks, even spreading counter-propaganda.
Through the channels designed to control information. That's incredible.
It really is. It's a testament to human ingenuity, even in this dystopian scenario, that enduring spirit of resistance. But, this struggle also raises some profound ethical questions.
Yeah, the whole thing really makes you think about the line between progress and danger.
And that's what we'll be exploring further as we dive deeper into this alternate 1940s.
Last time, we were looking at this AI-powered Germany. But then there were those glimmers of resistance using AI to fight back. So, what about the rest of the world? I mean, what did the Allies do when they realized Germany had this whole AI thing going on?
Well, you got to remember, at this point, the Allies were really banking on code breaking. especially with the Enigma machine.
Right.
So to suddenly have those efforts basically become useless because of Dream-in AI, that would have been a huge blow.
Like the rug pulled out from under them. So what did they do? Just give up?
Not at all. Actually, this is where we see the start of the AI arms race. Yeah, the Allies see this threat and they start pouring resources into their own research programs. They're playing catch up, but the stakes are unbelievably high.
So instead of just battles on land and sea, there's this whole other battle going on, like algorithms battling it out in labs.
Exactly. And it wasn't just about copying what the Germans had, it was about understanding AI's potential, figuring out where it could go, and trying to outsmart the enemy in this new tech landscape.
Did they ever catch up?
Yeah.
Or did Germany stay ahead throughout the war?
That's a tough one, and the sources are kind of all over the place. On the one hand, Germany's early AI advantage definitely dragged the war out longer. They won a lot of battles because of it.
Something had to change. I mean, the Allies won in our timeline.
Right, and here's where it gets interesting. The thing that gave Germany an edge, that reliance on AI, also created weaknesses.
Wait, how can having advanced tech be a bad thing?
Well, think about it. AI systems, at least back then, are only as good as the data they learn from. And that data, it can be messed with, incomplete, or just plain wrong.
So the Allies found ways to exploit that.
Exactly. We see resistance groups, sometimes working with Allied intelligence, feeding bad info into German AI, causing malfunctions, wrong predictions, that kind of thing.
Digital sabotage, turning the enemy's systems against them.
Precisely. And it wasn't just military stuff. Resistance groups used AI to spread their own messages, hacking into communication channels.
Delivering messages of hope, exposing the regime. So even in this world where AI is used for control, there's still that pushback.
Oh, absolutely. Those sparks of defiance, finding ways to fight back. And it wasn't just covert ops either. Remember Dr. Heinrich Falk, that scientist struggling with the ethics of it all?
Yeah, the one who felt like he was building a monster. Did he just keep working for the regime?
It's not totally clear, but there are hints that Falk and some other scientists started having serious doubts.
An ethical awakening, even among the people who were building these systems.
Exactly. It wasn't just guilt or moral stuff either. Some started seeing flaws in the regime's thinking, the dangers of giving machines so much power.
So what do? Just speak out.
Openly criticizing the Nazis. Way too dangerous. But it seems there was this network working in secret. Meetings, coded messages, even trying to mess with AI programs from the inside.
An underground movement of scientists fighting a different kind of war for the soul of technology, I guess.
And this internal struggle, this ethical debate, it played a huge part in the war. It wasn't just tanks and bombs. It was about ideas, how this powerful tech should be used.
That's a really interesting way to look at it. So the war's outcome wasn't just about military strength, but about these underlying ideas.
Exactly. And it shows us something important. AI is just a tool.
A tool that can be used for good or bad.
Exactly, depending on who's controlling it. And that's a lesson that goes beyond this whole alternate 1940s thing. It's relevant today as AI becomes more and more part of our lives.
We got to be careful not just about the tech, but about who's using it, right?
Absolutely. And that's a question we'll keep exploring in the final part of our deep dive. We'll look at the long-term effects of this alternate history, the new world that comes out of it, and that struggle to use AI's power without, losing our humanity.
It's kind of mind-blowing to think about, like what happens after a war where AI is actually a thing? Does the world just go back to how it was?
That's the big question historians in this alternate timeline are trying to figure out. Because even when the fighting's done, AI doesn't just disappear.
Right, it's not like hitting a reset button. So what changes? How does AI from wartime affect the world afterward?
One of the biggest changes is how fast technology develops. The war, even with all the bad stuff, really pushed innovation forward. AI research, which was mostly focused on the military, suddenly could be used for everything.
Yeah, like they say, out of the ashes. But instead of just rebuilding cities, they're rebuilding society with AI at the center.
Exactly, and that has huge consequences. Imagine stuff we have today, but way earlier, personalized medicine based on your DNA, automation, everywhere, even the beginnings of the internet.
Wow, it's like the war launched them decades into the future, tech-wise.
But it's not all sunshine and roses. There's a dark side to this progress. After seeing what AI can do in the wrong hands, there's this constant worry, a global awareness of how it could be misused.
So it's not just blind excitement about new tech. There's some healthy skepticism, too.
Absolutely. The sources talk about a world where the ethical debates we're having now were already happening back then. International conferences about AI ethics, watchdog groups keeping an eye on governments, a constant struggle between progress and control.
So it's not just scientists or politicians talking about this. Everyone's concerned about AI ethics.
Exactly. The war made it clear that AI isn't just another invention. It can change society so much that everyone needs to be part of the conversation.
That makes me think about Dr. Falk and Greta Weiss.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the scientist with a guilty conscience and the resistance fighter. Where do they fit into this post-war world?
Actually, their stories are really important for understanding this time period. Falk, still feeling bad about what AI could do, becomes a big advocate for responsible development. He's giving lectures, writing, trying to make sure AI research benefits humanity, not controls it.
Like he's making up for his part in creating this tech, trying to steer it in the right direction.
Exactly. And then you have Greta Weiss. She saw how AI can be used for oppression, so she becomes a digital rights activist, fighting for transparency, accountability, making sure people have a say in how AI is used.
Wow, it's almost poetic. They were on opposite sides of the war, but now they're united by this responsibility for AI's future.
And that's a key takeaway. The outcome of this alternate history isn't about the tech itself, but about the choices people make. Human choices still matter, even with all these advancements.
That's actually pretty hopeful. So even though this is a what-if scenario, there are some real lessons here for us today, right?
Absolutely. This deep dive shows us that AI isn't some abstract idea. It's going to shape our future, for better or worse. And that future isn't set in stone. It's something we all have a part in creating.
That's a powerful message. So to everyone listening, remember this. The future of AI isn't written in code. It's written in the choices we make. Keep asking questions, keep exploring, and never lose that what-if spirit.